शेयर करने के टाइम पे बराबर ओपन किया हुआ है।
हाँ ओपन किया हुआ है।
तो लास्ट फाइंड वाला था वो।
आज भी करेंगे अपडेट। बट ये कैसे बन गई मूलाइज करते लोग। हाँ हाँ
बराबर स्ट्रॉन्ग भी खबर है तो
यस
क्या देखते हो तो इन लोगों के
Hello? Hello?
yes Anvita.
Just four, sir. We'll just wait for 2 more minutes.
Okay no.
Hello. Yeah, so I think we can start with the webinar now.
Yeah.
Before we start, I request CA Shah to please turn on your video
Yeah.
so that I can
Yes.
take a. Snail, can you stop screen sharing, please? Yeah, so on the take a quick picture. So 1, 2, and 3. One more, please. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you so much. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome on the webinar today, which is on the recent GST amendments and what does these amendments mean to the Indian businesses. This webinar has been jointly organized by EU Chambers and Hasmukh Shah and Company LLP, which is also a member company of the Chamber. Today, the speaker, CA Vivek Shah, will cover major amendments, will guide us on how to successfully implement the e-invoicing system and so on. So in case you have any questions, you can please post it in the Q&A box. In fact, I can see that before the webinar only, we already have few questions that have come in, so which we will address it later. Now, allow me to briefly introduce Dr. Renu Shon, the director of EU Chambers. She is sorry, she is a doctorate in economics from Jabalpur University and has been associated with the chamber for more than a decade now. Ma'am, may I request you to kindly welcome the attendees?
Thank you, Anvita. At the outset, let me extend a very warm welcome to all of you present for this webinar, and special thanks to our speaker of today, Mr. Vivek Shah, who will be talking about what recent GST amendment mean to Indian business. The topic is very relevant and we all are eager to hear from him. Before we begin the session, let me very briefly introduce our speaker. So CA Vivek Shah is an associate partner of a Hasmukh Shah and Company LLP, a multidisciplinary chartered accountant firm practicing in India over 35 years and has specialized in providing India setup business support services in different aspects, accounting, tax compliances, payroll, and secretarial matters. CA Vivek Shah has an immense experience in the areas of indirect taxation, earlier VAT, service tax, and now GST. He is currently providing GST advisory and compliances service to many. He has successfully handled VAT and GST audit assessment as well as the appeal matters. He has also applied and represented clients for obtaining refunds for tax authorities. So I would say he comes with quite a vast experience and the knowledge. So before we begin, the session, very briefly, I would like to talk about the chamber. I'm sure most of you are our members and know about the activity. Just for the benefit of others who has not been associated with us, EU Chamber was set up in 1992 with the objective to promote the business between EU and India. So we have all the bilateral chambers represent us, as well as we have a European and Indian companies who are a part of us. And so the objective of the chamber is to bridge the gap between EU and India. And of course, in this, we try to help our member companies. And chamber also has some 7 sector committees. All these committees are very, very active, I would say, on prominent sectors like automobile, engineering, education, logistic, ICT. So these are some of the prominent committees, I would say, and the objective of these committees are to share the knowledge with the members and of course take up the issues relevant to the topics with the various authorities. So in nutshell, this is about the chambers, and we are organizing a lot of events and all, and we request you all to kindly stay in touch with us and enjoy the attending webinars and all. And of course, one of our big event we are planning on 15th, which we will be sending you an invite. Please do attend. So with these words, I would like to once again thank you all and welcome, and let's hear our speaker what he has to share with us. Thank you, Mr. Vivek, and over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you to the EU Chambers and Anvita and the team to invite us for this type of this great webinar. And am I audible, Anvita?
Yes, you are audible. Yes, you are.
Okay. Is PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It is.
thank you. So, thank you so much for the inviting us to this webinar and talking about today's topic, what recent GST amendment means to Indian businesses. So, we are not going to discuss any about technicality, major technicality of GST, but how overall GST law has changed or evolved over the period of time for the purpose of compliances and return filing and taxation perspective. We will discuss briefly major topics of this. Talking about today's outline, just a second. Talking about today's presentation outline, first of all, we will discuss about the QRMP scheme, which is recently introduced by the government in the month of January. There are many questions who are eligible for the QRMP scheme, what are the benefits, who can opt out, who can opt in. We will discuss briefly about this. Then how to maximize the ITC claim. In recent budget, government has come up with the amendment that unless and until the invoice of particular vendor is not reflecting in the vendor's 2A, you cannot claim the ITC. And over a period of from last November 2019, government is keep changing things. Okay, what are the parameters of taking the ITC? So we will discuss about that also. Importance of March GST return. So everyone is aware that how important is March closing. So for the accounting perspective, it is very much important from the compliance perspective also, because as we are aware, there is no revision or rectification allowed in the GST returns. So it is very important to take all the necessary steps to make the any financial data make the perfect. Then e-invoicing system and their implementation. So e-invoicing is the new point of discussion in the compliance market, because the government over the period of time started with the 500 CR limitation, then they comes to 100 CR limitation, and now they are come up with the notification that from 1st April 50 CR turnover will be eligible for the making the invoice, and we are expecting, or government is expecting to make the invoice applicable to lower turnover also. So it is very important to be ready with this type of setup, which we can, if in future government come up with this invoicing, we can be ready with this. And the key takeaways to become the GST compliance. There is a 16-point mantra of the Hasmukh Shah & Company HSCO as a firm, for which we can make the necessary steps so we can make our client compliant and lesser the compliance worry. So first, now moving over to the basic introduction of GST. As we are aware, GST was launched on midnight 1st July 2017. The most ambitious and remarkable indirect tax reforms in India post-independence. It replaced many indirect tax laws like VAT, service tax, excise duty, LBT, entry tax, and many. In this list, you can see there are many central tax and state tax which are summed in GST, like central excise duty, service tax, central sales tax, central sales tax, surcharge levied by the union, national calamities. In state, major act is VAT, LBT, entry tax, octroi. These all are merged in the one act, that is the GST. So GST is mostly all the rates are defined in a various schedule. It is from 0%, 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. Is this all the items are covered under GST? No, there are still some items which are left from the GST, that is the petroleum product, high-speed diesel, alcohol, electricity, natural gas, and etc. So first we discussed how GST has helped the nation as a taxpayers. So earlier, if you are aware that you need to, if your organization have a pan India presence, then you need to take the GST registration in all the states. Still, you need to take to registration in all the states. But for various states, earlier there is a various rates, various definitions of every VAT act. So now you don't need to worry about the different act. You can follow only one act. Eliminate the cascading effect. This is the most headache and most important thing in GST, which help all the organization. Like if you are dealing in a goods, you cannot take the input tax credit of service industry, and if you are a service provider, then you cannot take the ITC of goods. So it's for GST perspective, it eliminates the cascading effect of tax. Improved efficiency of logistic, like earlier, to avoid entry tax, you need to have godowns and warehouse in every state of India. So now you can operate from the one centralized godown in anywhere India. And if you take the registration in any state, you can work, do the business from anywhere in India. Unrecognized sector is regulated. So you, everyone is aware that construction and textiles are the most unregulated sectors earlier. So after the come up with the GST and that e-way bill and now e-invoicing, government has already recognized and regulated all this sector. Composition scheme for the small businesses, like in income tax, if person is aware that there is a some presumptive scheme, you pay the particular percentage to government as a tax, and you are free from the making all the books of account and maintaining all the books of account. Like same way in GST also, government come up with a composition scheme and such a higher threshold limit for the composition scheme, that is 1.5 CR. You can now, you no need to worry. You can just pay the fixed percentage of tax, like 1%, 5%, and you are free from the all the compliances. Then higher threshold for the registration. So earlier there is in VAT Act, there is a register threshold limit of 10 lakhs. Now it is increased from 10 lakhs for goods. In GST we have 40 lakhs limits, and from service in services we have 20 lakhs limit. That is higher threshold limit. After after increasing such a threshold limit, you can see this number, like there is almost 1.26 CR registered taxpayer in India under the GST Act. Out of only 43% are from the old act, like from migrated from VAT or service tax. Other all 57 registered taxpayers are new. So you can see how much the government has regulated the unregulated sectors. Talking about amendments, if you see from 2017, July 2017, there is almost 953 amendment by the government in the GST Act, which comes to almost 5 changes every week. That is every working day there is a one amendment in the GST Act. So moving over to the most recent and important amendment of GST Act, that is the QRMP scheme. If we discussed about the earlier government come up with the GSTR 1, GSTR 2 and GSTR 3, which is their standard returns which they are willing to implement. After that, they come up with the GSTR 3B. They replace the GSTR 3 with GSTR 3B. Then in the month of last year 2020, they are willing to come up with this Sahaj Sugam and Annexure 1, Annexure 2 returns for the taxpayers. But suddenly they come up with a new idea, that is the QRMP scheme. Now everyone has a question, okay, what is QRMP scheme? Who is eligible for this? What is IFF? Who can switch? Are there is an option to stay in old normal return only? What are the late fees? What are the benefit of QRMP scheme? Now talking about the eligibility, if your turnover is 5 CR in financial year 1920, then you are eligible for the 2021 GST. From January 1, you can take the benefit of QRMP scheme. Now, question is who are not eligible for the QRMP scheme? That is the composition scheme, input service distributor, non-resident taxable person, and department established by state government and central government. Now, question is there is a option for the, is this compulsory to opt for the QRMP scheme? No. If your turnover is below 5 years, then still you can continue with the old return, which is the tax. Many taxpayers are willing to take the benefit of old return only. They are not taking the benefit of QRMP scheme. So because the government have the people have in myth in the mind that the QRMP scheme is not beneficial, because every time you need to make the return only. Can you opt in any quarter? Yes, if you are eligible for the turnover, that is 5 crore turnover limit is there. That is the pan India turnover. First of all, this turnover is means 5 CR pan India turnover. If you are eligible for the turnover, you can meanwhile after every quarter, but it is not like you can switch in within the month, but after quarter you can take the decision. This is the actual when you can switch or opt in or opt out from the QRMP scheme. That is the first day of the second month of the preceding quarter till the last day of the first month of the quarter. Little bit confusing, but just you can see if your quarter is April to March, April to June, if you have to opt for the QRMP scheme, your time till 30th April. That is last date of first month of every quarter. Okay. like example, in for the October to December, you have time till October. January to March, you can opt for the January till January. What if turnover cross below 5 CR? You need to switch to the normal return. What are the payment options in the QRMP scheme? Like there are many confusion. If government have come up with the like advanced tax idea, like you need to pay particular percentage every month. No, there are options available. First option is fixed sum method, and there is a self assessment method. In fixed sum method, there is a first option is last return quarterly. That is 35% tax paid in the cash preceding quarter. Like if we talk about April to June, if your turnover if your particular January to March, you have paid X amount, you can pay direct 35% of that X amount in the month of April and in the month of May. And you are free from the filing any type of return or something for that particular month. What is the last return monthly? For example, if we take the same example for the April to June, if what is your March month liability? If your March month liability is 50 rupees, same liability you pay in April, same liability you pay in May. And if there is any excess amount you need to pay, you can pay in June. The another method and very safe method, we at HSCO always advise to this method, that is the self-assessment method. What is the self-assessment? It is like the same earlier we filed the GSTR 3B. You just make the calculation, what are your ITC, what are your output liability, pay the net amount, and you are free from your liability. Now, here are some example you can see. Tax paid in cash from January to March. Here we have taken the example of January to March. You just pay the 35% of whatever you have paid, and you are free from your liability. Same way in fixed sum method, if you have paid the 50, 50 and 80 in the month of March, you can pay same amount in April and same amount in May. Here, the point to note is monthly tax payment. This method would not be available to those registered who have not furnished the return for the complete tax period preceding such a month. If your return is pending for the month of March or particular preceding quarter, you cannot opt for the QRMP scheme. Then you need to, or you have to opt for the default scheme provided by the government. Talking about payment and interest, what if my installment which I am paying, that is 35% and 50%, is lesser than what I am actually need to pay, you are free from the interest. If you are opting for particular method and paying by this method, even if your liability is more, you are free from the any type of interest. But if you are opting for the self-assessment method, then you make sure that you are taking proper steps for those payments. Now, talking about IFF, what is IFF? So if you are aware that government has come up with, unless and until the invoice is reflecting on a particular GSTR 2A of your vendor, till then you can able to take the ITC. To solve this query, like many businessmen are there, many organizations are in quarterly return filing. So if they are doing business in from a month of April to June, their return liability come in 31st July. So till that 31st July, vendor need to wait. Vendor will upload the return and my ITC will reflect. To solve this issue, government come up with this invoice furnishing facility. In this facility, you just need to report those invoices which vendors are willing to show, or which vendors which are following with you. You can upload before 30th of every month. Once you upload this this entry in IFF, you no need to report this again in the quarterly GSTR 1. And for this limit is 50 lakh rupees earlier, which are mentioned by the government in the act. But in the current month, after facing the various questions from the organization, like some have more than turnover in sudden turnover in a particular month, they have removed this limit of 50 lakhs. Okay. Now, do I need to again report those invoices which are reported in IFF in GSTR 1? No, you no need to report again. It will get auto reflected, which is not happening till now. But it is expected by the next quarter, government will come up with this auto populate thing. So once you report those invoices in IFF, it will get auto populated in IFF. Now, what is the process of a furnishing facility? Do it is a compulsory for me? No, it is not a compulsory. If you are not filing this, it will not get any late fee or any penalty, something like that. It is just an optional thing to get the ITC for the vendors. Okay. Now due dates for this QRMP scheme is for IFF every month, that is the 30th, and for the payment, like we discussed earlier in the fixed sum method and self-assessment method, we have date of 25th. And for the for the end quarter month, that is for the June or for the end of the quarter, our regular GST return date, that is 22 and 24 with respect to whatever your state you are doing business. Now reduce late fee. Now what are the benefit of QRMP scheme? People are not understanding that if you are paying earlier, you need to aware about every GSTR1 and GSTR3B every month. If you are failing to file any return by mistake, non-availability of DSC, you fail to pay the tax amount, there is always the 50 rupees late fees mark pointer you pressure by every time 50 rupees is raising day by day. Now you are free from, in a particular month, you are free from this type of late fees. Moving over to the next topic, how to maximize the ITC, input tax credit. Government come up with the various method of taking the ITC. Like in last November, they come up with GSTR 2A. Now first of all discuss what is GSTR 2A and what is GSTR 2B. GSTR 2 is nothing, your purchase register. Whatever you are purchasing from your vendor, it will get reflected in your GSTR 2A and GSTR 2B. If your vendor is filing return on a timely basis, on a proper time-to-time manner, your purchase register will reflect all the invoices from the whatever you are purchasing from the registered dealer. It is most important thing is registered dealer. Okay, what are the sources of the GSTR data? For GSTR 2A, your vendor's GSTR 1, 5, 6, 7, and whatever return he is eligible for that, it will get reflected in. In GSTR 2B, it will get reflected from 1, 5, 6 and IceGate. Now, what is the IceGate data? IceGate data, when you import the data, import a goods or service from outside India, you will pay the customs and IGST. So whatever purchase you do from the cross-border transaction, it will get reflected in GSTR 2B. Now, in current, from the last month, government has come up with the trial run of 2A, in which data of import also reflecting in GSTR 2A, not only in GSTR 2B, but also getting reflected in GSTR 2A. Reversal of ITC. 2A is not advising anything about the GST reversal of ITC, but 2B is advising if you are doing any business with any ineligible ITC dealer or any reversal or credit note, debit note raised by your dealer. Now, auto population data on submission of return. Get populated merely on if GSTR 1, your vendor has filed a GSTR 1. If it is not filed only, then also this data get reflected in GSTR 2B. Like sometimes people what do, they just submit the return, but they forget to file the return. Then also this data get reflected in GSTR 2A. But in GSTR 2B, unless and until you are filing the return, it will not get reflected in GSTR 2B. It will provide the supplier-wise information for your dealer. Now, what is GSTR 2B and how it works? So basically it works if your dealer is filing your return before 13, then only it will get reflected in GSTR 3B. If your dealer fails and he files after the particular date, that is for if we talk about March return, in March month the due date is 30th April. If we file the return on time, it will get reflected. It will get reflected in 2B of your particular March month. If we file after 15, then it will get reflected in 2B of April month, not in a March month 2B. So as government have already amended in a budget and advised, if ITC get reflecting, then you can take the benefit of ITC. It is very important to follow up with every dealer to get the particular proper ITC. If otherwise you are ending with the paying GST to both, like government also and to your vendors. Now, what are the challenges for the taxpayers? Like every with new return, we need to make the reconciliation with those data also. Like currently we are earlier we are already making the reconciliation of GST return and GST books of account and GSTR 2A. Now we need to reconcile our GSTR 2B also, because GSTR 2A and 2B both the different statement. One is static, one is dynamic. So we need to reconcile those both the statement. Difficulty in claiming ITC. Many dealers are forgetting to file the return before 11th. They are like, we have already filed now. What is issue? But if your return is not filed on time, then also you are not eligible to take the ITC of that particular month. Now, what are the challenges for the taxpayer? Ineligible ITC. ITC not available. Many ITC which are, if in 2B, if particular ITC like motor vehicle, block credit ITC, construction or to immobile property, still they are getting reflected. So it is not like a 2B is providing data for the eligible data and eligible data. It is providing only for the eligible total data. Now you need to identify what is eligible and what is not eligible. Payment of tax on reverse charge basis, only import details are reflecting, import of service details are still not reflecting in GSTR 2B. Now, what are the best practices to be followed for the claiming the ITC accurately? If this 8 steps are you are doing, if you are doing it on a monthly basis, you can make sure you are getting all the ITCs what you have paid for or you have purchased in the particular month. Obtain the proper tax invoice for the goods and services. Please confirm every time you take the proper tax invoice, because performa invoices and delivery challan are not reflecting in this particular data. So you make sure you are taking the proper tax invoice. Record the invoice in the books in the same month. If you are taking the goods and services for particular services in March month, make sure you are booking it in same month, because sometimes what happens, the dealer forget to give the invoice, you skip the mail or anything, you can for any miss thing, you can be deferred your ITC in a particular next month. Payment to the vendor within the prescribed limit. Now this point is because in GST Act, if you are not paying your vendor within the 180 days, for example, you purchase from me and you are not paying me my money, whatever, for example, 100 rupees and GST amount is 18 rupees. If you are not paying me those amount with tax in a particular 180 days, you are liable to reverse those ITC. So this thing doesn't comes like during the return period, but it come up at the time of, if you are eligible for the audit or at the time of assessment. Identify the block credits at accounting entry level. Sometimes people forget to identify the block credit. They just take the ITC because that is reflecting in 2A or something in 2B, but they don't identify the what is the block credit, and then in future at the time of audit they need to reverse this ITC. So basically, it is very important you mark your invoices. This is the block credit. Let take it full as an expense, and if it is not a block credit, you are bifurcating properly it as a duties and taxes. Compare GSTR 2A for the cumulative period with the books. After come up with the 2B, it is very important. If sometimes vendors share their 2A, we have already filed. So it is very important to take the, if the vendor have filed the return, in which month he has filed the return. It is very important to check those things, because what in a particular month, if you take the ITC for a particular March month, in April month, and your in 2A it is not reflecting, it is sometimes need to reverse after the taking the ITC, which attract the interest component on that particular ineligible ITC also. Periodic follow-up with the vendors. If you are taking care of if your accounting team is not taking care of all the invoices which are reflecting or not, in future you can lose the ITC, because it comes with the particular restriction, like you cannot take the, for the financial year 2021, you cannot take the ITC after September 21. So it is must to do, if whether your accounting team confirming that all the ITC is reflected before September 21. Don't forget to take the credit of GST paid on RCM. Sometimes people pay the RCM amount on a security service, lawyer services, but they forget to take the ITC because it is not recorded in the books of account, just paid on the GST 3B return. So it is very necessary to check what are the amounts you have paid the RCM and whether you are taking those ITC or not. These are the list of some block credits which you can record as a day-to-day activity. What are the like motor vehicle, vessels, aircraft, food and beverages, health insurance, beauty treatment, club facilities, ITC under the composition schemes, goods and services received for the personal use. Sometimes people for the personal use, they have taken the ITC and take the benefit in the company. So that is, if in future identified, you need to reverse. So it is need to take care goods lost, stolen and destroyed. It is very necessary to, sometimes people forget to reverse the ITC which are lost, like fire or theft. You need to reverse those ITC because government doesn't allow to take your ITC which are further only for the furtherance of business, not for the stolen and theft goods. Now the next topic for the presentation is March GST return. Now what are the importance of the March GST returns? So it is very important to take the overall yearly consolidated review of your GSTR 2A and GSTR 2B, whether all your ITC is reflected on all the vendors have reported your purchase and all the vendors have paid your you have paid all the vendors on a timely basis. Unavailed input tax credits. Sometimes what happen, bank charges, loan processing charges, insurance expenses, capital goods, some ITC directly paid by the directors, proprietor, but they forget to inform their accounting team. And after the particular time, they take the in records, or while doing the audit, they take. So in meanwhile, the take for the time period to taking the ITC get lapsed. So it is very important to have the communication between the directors, proprietor and partners and the accounting team. All the invoices which are there on a 2A or 2B, or some are there in physical copy with their personal use or on in their personal hand, like capital goods or credit card amount paid via credit card. All the ITCs are taken. GST credit of tax paid under under RCM, earlier already discussed like that. If you are paying the RCM, it is very necessary you take the all the month ITC RCM in the month of RCM. Otherwise, it will get reported in next period and you will take the ITC. So you have to make the reconciliation between the two period, like for the financial year 2021 and 2020. You shift your ITC from 1 year to second year. Now, excess tax paid. For example, many times people file the return, pay the taxes, and after the goods return or services get rates get changed, so they are ending up paying more taxes on their particular services. For example, in particular for the April, May, June month, you pay the 100 rupees as a taxes, but after the July, August, September month, you identify there are some sales return or there are the reduced rate for the services. So it is very important, if any taxes are paid in excess, you adjust those taxes in the month of March. So overall reconciliation of your turnover with the GSTR return in the month of March is necessary. So you don't have to get the reconciliation and adjustment to do in the next year, that is in the financial year 2021-22. Credit balance as per electronic credit ledger and credit balance cash balance as per electronic cash ledger. So like it is very but it is very heavy task to maintain the similarity between the actual balance in the cash ledger and credit ledger and books of account, because government, due to this various rules of ITC taking, the invoices are there in the books of account but ITC is not taken. Sometimes RCM paid, but RCM paid because the cash ledger is there, but ITC is not taken in the particular month. So it is very important to reconcile all your ledgers with the books of account before the month of March, because otherwise it will get pop up at the time of the audit, and at the time of audit you will end up by paying with the interest. Now, late filing fees and interest. Normally people pay the GST challan on a consolidated basis. It is not like there is a bifurcation, because the in bank account it will get reflected one single amount. So sometimes people end up closing the entries in the same GST head. So it is very necessary to identify that what is the IGST, what is the CGST, what are the SGST, is there any interest and late fee component, because the interest and late fee component are not allowed at the time of the income tax audit. So you need to identify what are the interest and late fees paid during the year. Now, to-do list for the April 2021. As we are starting with the new year, as a new financial year, it is very important to have the identify new series of invoices, because in GST they are not they don't accept the duplicate invoices on a portal. So it is very important to identify the new series of invoices. Maybe it will be you can mention it, there is a 16-digit limitation, you can mention it as per your convenience, but it is very important to have the new series at the start of new financial year. Letter of undertaking, many people forget to take the letter of undertaking at the start of the year, and then at the time of export of goods or at the time of the bill of entry, when you are at the custom port, you need to take the letter of undertaking. So it is very important, if you are doing the export without payment of tax, you take the LUT on a time. To-do list for the HSN code requirement, like government from the 1st April come up with, if your turnover is more than 5 CR, it is compulsory to mention the 4-digit HSN code on B2B supplies. It is optional for the B2C supplies, but for the B2B it is compulsory 4-digit. And for the turnover above 5 CR turnover, it is compulsory 6-digit HSN and SSC code. And if you are doing any export and few notified goods activity, you have to mention the 8-digit HSN code on your invoices, tax invoices. Is my pace is okay, Anvita?
Yeah, the PPT is visible. Just if little slow, you can go.
Okay. Now talking about the budget 2021, government comes normally what happens, people are more interested in the direct tax amendment. People sometimes forget to have a proper understanding of indirect tax amendment. But this time government have very few amendments in budget, but these are the importance which are helpful in the day-to-day activity. Stricter condition for the availing ITC, like earlier we have discussed at the time of the 2A was is 2B, government come up with compulsion of reflection of your vendor's invoice on GST portal. Unless and until your vendor's invoice is not reflecting, you cannot take the ITC. Interest on a net cash liability. It was the most discussed thing earlier. For example, if my liability is 100 rupees for the particular month of April and we have ITC of 50 rupees, now we need to pay on interest on what component? Whether we need to pay on a 100 rupees full component or on a particular 50 rupees only. So now in the government clarified that you need to pay only which are paid via cash component. That is the cash liability paid via using cash ledger. E-way bill related changes to regulate the goods movement and to come up with the more restriction, more regulated things on a e-way bill, e-invoicing and GSTR1 perspective. They have come up with the more stricter penalties for the e-way bill, not generation of the e-way bill. Now, self-assessed tax. What is the self-assessed tax? Authorities can initiate recovery proceeding even in case whether the tax liability is GSTR1 is more than GSTR3B. Earlier in Act, that is provided if your assessing officer only get the recovery on the basis of GSTR3B. Like for example, in your books of account, it is 100 rupees. And your GSTR3B is showing 80 rupees. Then government only, then officer only on the basis of GSTR3B can start a recovery proceeding on you. But now government in this budget change exceeded the power of officer, and they can now also compare with the GSTR1. For like in your GSTR1, your liability is only 60 rupees and your actual books account is 100 rupees. Then government also compare, then officer can also compare with it GSTR1. That is, now he can do two-way assessment of your books of account. Removal of GST audit. This is the most important and top point during this budget. Okay, there is a no indirect tax assessment or audit in particular from this particular year. Earlier there is a limit of 5 CR, but now a government have come up with the removal of the GSTR audit. But it is very critical to note that it is not a removal of GST audit. It is just a self declaration of GST or GST audit. That is GSTR 9. and GSTR 9C. For example, if you are earlier you're taking help of your chartered accountant to file the GST annual return and GST audit, now your chartered accountant no need to sign those GST audit. You can do it on a self-signing basis or self-assessment basis. Substantial changes in SEZ supplies and export. Now, when you supply the goods to the SEZ, it is as good as you are exporting the goods, like you are providing the export services. So you no need to pay the GST on that. But now government come up, there is a things to be notified, but government come up with this thing. If you are providing services for the authorized operation, for example, if particular SEZ is doing have taken the benefit of this authorized activity, if your supply is for that authorized activity, then you can take the benefit of without payment of tax. Otherwise, you need to pay the GST while doing the supply to the SEZ also. Zero rate supply under IGST is restricted to the only notified category. Like we are already, if we are doing the business in the export categories and export of service and goods, there are two way of export is available. That is, one is export of goods, and the other thing is export of with payment of tax and without payment of tax. In with payment of tax, you pay the GST and then claim the refund of that particular tax component from the government. And in without payment of tax, you just take the letter of undertaking and you pay without payment of you do the export without payment of tax. So earlier what people do, they use their local ITC while and pay the ITC with payment of tax and claim the refund. Now government have come up with the idea, if you are doing the particular notified category of goods are exported or service are exported, then you can take the benefit of with payment. Otherwise, you have to go for the without payment of tax. Non-reversion of sale proceeds and goods exported require depositing of refund amount with interest. Like for example, if you do the goods export of goods, you pay the GST on that and take the ITC, but your goods, your amount is not realized, then you need to pay back those amounts to the government with interest. That is almost, there is a 24% interest on that refund of tax amount, which we have falsely, you have taken the refund of those. Now, e-invoicing. E-invoicing is the most important thing in now compliance world, because the government, earlier people are already having a headache of e-way bill while generating the tax invoice. Now they have come up with this idea of e-invoicing. Now, what are earlier there is a limit of 500 CR for the turnover above 500 CR. You need to generate the invoice. Then in January 2021, they come up with the 100 CR turnover limit. And now from the 1st April 2021, if your turnover is above 550 CR in any of the preceding year, like for example, if 17, 18, 18, 19, your turnover is 50 CR, but due to 1920 COVID situation, your 2021 COVID situation, your turnover is below 50 CR. Still, you have to implement the GST e-invoicing because your turnover is there in a more than 50 CR in preceding financial year. Now, what are this? What are the invoicing? E-invoicing nothing but it is same like an e-way bill. It is the electronic invoicing. You are generating on your particular software. Now you authorize. There is an IRN number, invoice recognition number, which generated by portal, and it is got stamped or reflected on your regular invoices with your regular details like tax, component, GST number, and all the things. All invoice information will be transferred from this portal to the GST portal. Like there is an automatic generation of details on a GSTR1 and e-way bill. If you generate the e-invoicing from particular portal, it will get automatically reflected in your GSTR1 details. Therefore, to eliminate the double punching of data on a various portal, it will save the time of the businesses. Now, what are the actual benefit of the invoicing? Of course, it saves the time, because you generate the invoice, you punch the data on GSTR1 portal, you punch the data on e-way bill portal. It will take too much time to get the data reflected, and it will, if you can see now, it will save the time, and there are lesser chances of error also. If various account team person is doing for various activity, like for some person is doing GSTR1, some other person is punching on a e-way bill portal, and some other person is punching on e-invoicing portal. So it will save the time and error also. Faster availability of genuine input test credit, because the invoice portal is a government authorized and IRS number is government authorized. You can rely more on the data pop up via e-invoicing. Real-time tracking of the invoices. Like if you are, sometimes what happens, people call the vendors whether my invoice is available or not, it is filed or not. Now you can on real-time basis on a check whether your vendor is uploading your invoices, uploading your invoice or not. Lesser possibility of audit service by the tax authority, since the information they require is available at their transition level. Like earlier, at the time of assessment, they ask for all the sales register, purchase register for to upload and to make the reconciliation. Now they can they only check the all the register, because it is uploaded and generated from their portal. So there is a lesser possibility of audits and surveys by the assessing authority. Now, what are the earlier discussed, what are the phases of implementation of e-invoicing? Like discussed in October, there are 500 CR limit. From 1st January 2021, there's 100 CR, and now the government come up with the from 1st April for the 50 CR. The aggregate turnover for this turnover is on a pan India basis. Like you need to check your pan India turnover for the GST e-invoicing. Now, what are the 5 steps to follow to implement the invoicing? Determine the requirement to implement invoicing. Please check your turnover from 2017, because many people still have some doubts whether, because many organization and businesses have lower turnover in particular 2021 due to the COVID effect. So they are in a mindset in that particular year my turnover is below 50 CR, so I no need to implement the invoicing. But they have clearly written that it is the preceding financial year. So for example, if any of the financial year like 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, your turnover is above 50 CR, you have to implement the invoicing. So determine the requirement to implement, familiarize your organization with the invoice schema. So it is e-invoice schema have almost 86 various fields for their data. So your organization, your accounting team, your invoicing team have the idea what data is required by the e-invoicing portal. Familiarize them. They give the information to them whether they can, what are the fields and what data they need to collect from the vendors for the e-invoicing. Find a suitable vendor to reorient your ERP system. Like every organization have their different software ERP system. Some have Tally, some have SAPs. So on a particular GST portal, there is a GSP provider. That is the GST Suvidha provider. Various GSP are there. You can contact your suitable GSP. They can help you to have implement the e-invoicing system on your current software only. Complete the system integration with the e-invoice standard. Please make sure whenever you are about to cross the limit of your particular turnover, or if you are about to implement the e-invoicing, you make the proper trial run for this e-invoicing, because it is the two-way process. You need to have all the details on that particular e-invoicing, because there are some penalties. They have already reduced the penalty, no penalty for the particular 3-month period, but from the future they will also charge the penalty on that particular invoicing. So it is very important to have the proper trial run and prepare for the launch of e-invoicing. Anytime soon, government may come up with they have already discussed in some meeting that they come up with the 5 CR turnover limit for the e-invoicing in the future. So if your turnover is almost about to 5 to 50 CR, please be ready with the proper software, proper accounting, proper outsourcing team, whatever the type of service you are taking from your chartered accountant or your tax accountant, be prepared for that particular launch of e-invoicing. Now, what are the key takeaway? Key takeaway for the current webinar. Like if you can see, there are almost 16 various type of GST compliance in a particular month. If you have applicable almost half of this, like your almost 1/3 of the working days are stuck with this type of various GST activities. like every time if we are available, if any type of act, the government have come up with the penalties and interest and things to for the proper compliance, because if the proper, if there is a no restriction or no actions against the defaulter, there is a long line of defaulters in India. If you, as we all are aware, in the month of December, November, almost 1,63,000 GST, various GST registration is cancelled by the government due to non-compliance. So for the in GST, there are late fees, interest, and cancellation of registration. Cancellation of registration is nowadays very frequent task taken by the assessing officer. If you are defaulting for the 2 month, then your e-way bill got blocked, and if you are defaulted for the 6 month, your registration will get cancelled, and you need to pay the various late fees on that. Now what we can do for the this type of activity? So here are the Hasmukh company's 16-point mantra to proper transaction of any type, proper transaction and proper completion of accounts and your compliance. Classify your transaction. What type of transaction you are doing, whether it is goods or whether it is service. Please check all these things in a particular transaction. Whenever you are doing a particular important transaction, check all these things to be a proper compliant and save your future compliant, to save your future penalties and interest from the this non-compliant thing. Classify your transaction, whether it is goods or services. Place and time of supply. Now it is very important, because in services you have particular time, you have to raise the invoice within the 30 days on which place of supply is there, whether it is within the state or within the state or interstate transaction. Right tax slab. Government is continuously many times change the rate of tax. Sometimes you need to check every quarterly or 6 monthly whether you are charging, what the rate you are charging is proper or there is a change in the tax rate. GST registration location, from where you need to raise the invoice. If your head office in Maharashtra, you are doing business from Gujarat, from please identify what type of place of supply, on which place of supply your goods are moving. It is a destination based tax, so you need to identify what you need to charge, whether you need to charge CGST, SGST or IGST. Inventory and cost management. Like in income tax, it is like we value the stock on a market price or cost, whichever is lower. So it is very important to identify the cost, and for the cost you need to identify the what are the ITC, what are the your cost for that particular, what are the carrying cost, what are the carrying interest cost for that particular good. So you need to identify what are the your actual cost to arrive at a particular profit. Charts of account, various charts of account need to be there. Like for example, if you are dealing with the vendors, whether you have taken the PAN card from that, whether you have taken the GST registration from that, what type of registration the particular vendor have. Do you have the checklist for this dealing with the particular vendor or a customer? Account balance and reconciliation. Every time you do with the quarterly, like in earlier discussed while discussing the ITC part, you need to pay your vendor within the 180 days. So whether you are reconciling your vendor's account every 3 months or 6 months, it is very necessary. Otherwise, you can lose some particular input tax credit while doing this type of activity. Sales and marketing policy. Many times, marketing team announce their particular freebies or some free services or samples to the organization, particular distributors or something like that. But their impact on GST, they are not aware about those things. Like for samples, you need to reverse the ITC. If you are giving some things to giving some goods or services as a free, you need to reverse those particular ITC. So it is very important to have the proper communication between the sales team and the accounting team. Logistic model and payment policy, like earlier discussed, where your goods are situated and who is the making the payment. While checking the transaction, whether it is a GST, IGST, CGST, SGST, you have the idea of the proper movement of goods and payment policy. Review the existing contracts. Many organizations have not renewed their contract from the VAT and service tax regime. So it is very important to identify, because when GST assessment are happening, they are only come up with those old agreements, like from the VAT regime, like 2005, 2008. It is very important. Your customer is ongoing, but you need to review your contracts. Supply chain management, you need to communicate with all your distributors, your suppliers, your vendors, and your transporters, because in transportation also you have the impact of reverse charge mechanism, and your distributor, if you are selling the goods, there is a returns of goods, so you communicate before the proper dates those GST. Review of vendor masters and review of customer master, it is very important. Sometimes people miscommunicate the GST number, O ka 0 ka O. So it is very important, because the GST return is not revision is not available. You can only one time you can change your entry. So it is very important to check your vendors masters and customers master. Update tax master. As and when the taxes or government come up with some new amendment, it is very important to whether your services and goods rates are not changed. So it is important to take the regular updates of your tax master. Is there any new tax rate or HSN code or SSC code is required? Please check your tax master. Filing the GST return. Most important thing, the non-compliance is very risky, because the late fees, interest, and most important is registration cancellation. Government nowadays not waiting for the any they are hardly giving any opportunities to non-filers. So it is very important you are properly compliant. And system transition preparedness, like we can see, there is a government come up with the new policy every now and where, like QRMP scheme, e-invoicing. So it is very important to have some details, some knowledgeable staff with you, or some knowledgeable tax compliant team or tax knowledge team, which we can which you can guide for your updates, and you update you time and time. For this, you need a sound and skilled accounting and tax team, whether it is your in-house team or it is your outsourced team. But it is very important to have those team with you. Thank you for your patience hearing. Over to Amrita.
Thank you, CHR, for this informative presentation. I think now we may take questions. We have few questions which I may read out to you.
Okay.
Okay, so the first question is from Mr. Dhaval, and he's saying that I have received an import bill in which my commission due was adjusted and net amount has been paid. What to do for commission adjusted, and shall I have to pay IGST on the commission income if I create an invoice for commission adjusted amount?
So basically, it is an import bill. First of all, thing is, I have received an import bill in which my common due was adjusted and net amount has been paid. So basically, it is a export of services. If they have the LUT, letter of undertaking, with him, so they need to check whether, first of all, if it is a commission, then it is must be the intermediary services. Like the government has come up with the new amendment. If you are providing the intermediary service, you cannot say it as a export of service. So they need, in our opinion, they need to pay the GST on that particular intermediary service.
Okay, Mr. Sunil is asking, is LUT must for April 21 to do export?
LUT, can you repeat?
Is LUT must from April 21 to do export?
Yeah. If you are willing to export without payment of tax, it is compulsory to take the LUT before exports of goods. Before movement of goods out of India, you need to take the letter of undertaking.
Okay. What should be HSN code for packing and forwarding and freight charges, which is included in sale invoice along with main items?
So it is little difficult to have. It is a long list of HSN and SSC code. So if they wanted some HSN or SSC code, they can write a mail to our mail ID, which is given at the end of the presentation, or I will share that mail ID. We can answer that on a particular mail, that HSN, because it is not like we can share like.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, the next question is whether GST PD on insurance services other than medical insurance can be claimed as ITC. Is GST PD on directors' scheme and policy by the company can be claimed as ITC?
So if it is a life insurance and health insurance services, there is a particularly blocked credit on a health insurance and life insurance policy. And if it is related to the motor vehicle, then also it is in a block credit. The Keyman insurance per services, there is a particular notification. So you can take the ITC of that particular Keyman insurance policy if it is if it is in nature of employer-employee relationship.
Okay. I will take just last one more question.
Yeah.
And the last question is there any option for TCS amount in e-invoicing?
Is there any option for the
TCS amount in e-invoicing?
TCS amount in e-invoicing? Because
Yes.
people are charging TCS. Actually, the TCS is not a particular need to collect separately on a particular e-invoice. There is no option, I think, available on that particular e-invoice format schema. But if they needed, they can particularly ask their particular vendor, and they can add those field in e-invoicing. Because e-invoicing, there is no particular restriction. You cannot add a separate things on that particular invoice. You can change it as per your requirement, but it need to be there as per the government guidelines.
Okay.
I would suggest, Anvita, let's take one or two more questions also, because I could see a lot of list of the questions, There is a gentleman who is asking about this, he has dispatched goods from Tamil Nadu. Please ask this as well.
Okay, so Mr. Atul is saying that I have dispatched goods from Tamil Nadu and issued sales invoices from Maharashtra, but wrongly eBay was generated from Tamil Nadu. Now, what's the solution?
Now we need to check what time is take, what are the how much time has happened to this activity, because the e-way bill cancellation allowed only for the 24 hours. Okay. Okay, so they need to check whether it is within the time, or otherwise they have already issued, then they can have some reason of in record for that it is wrongly generated, and they can generate actual e-invoice e-way bill from that actual place of dispatch.
Okay.
Because it is 24 hours only for the cancellation of e-invoice, or they can ask a particular transporter or vendor to reject those e-way bill. They need to communicate to the transporter.
Okay. The other question is from Mr. Yogesh Shetty, and he's asking: is the GST authorities particular about the HSN code matching in invoices, especially like small items like grocery items and certain clothing items?
Earlier it was not there particular, but from the 1st April, like I have already mentioned, they have come up with a new notification and compulsion of at least 4 digits of their HSN code on tax invoice. Okay. So if they violate the invoicing rule, there may be some consequences of that particular wrong invoicing and all. So at least they can go for the 4 digit if their turnover is below 5 CR.
Okay. Okay. So the last question, I'll take this last one. Okay. What is validity of e-invoicing, and after generating e-invoice, any restrictions on time limit before we should generate e-way bill?
No, there is no time limit for the e-way bill, because e-way bill and e-invoicing both are separate thing. Okay. E-way bill is before the movement of goods. Okay. So if it is not compulsory, if you have generated the invoicing, you have to generate the e-way bill. And for the restriction, like e-invoicing can be cancelled, save the same time limit, that is the 24 hours. If there is a cancellation or correction, you can just the edit before the after 24 hours. You cannot do anything to that particular invoicing thing. Invoicing and
Thank
e-way bill
you.
is both separate things.
Okay. What I would suggest, the participants, since we can see there are a few more questions, if they can write to us, we would be
Yeah.
happy to forward it to Mr. Shah, and then we will take it up with him, and then we can forward you always the queries. I think that would be great.
Definitely. We will be happy to help you on a email also. You can write to us on a particular email ID that will be shared by our colleague Ravi, and we will answer them all on a particular query.
Yeah, sure. That would be great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And with this, we come to an end of the Q&A as well as the session. Let me take this opportunity to thank CA Vivek Shah and Hasmukh Shah and company for this informative session. Thank you so much, Mr. Shah, for taking the time out and sharing such a good presentation, which is highly appreciated by the attendees. Also, I can see a lot of requests coming on for the presentations. Also, I would like to thank all our attendees for joining us. And as Dr. Shom also mentioned, in case you have any queries, any questions, please feel free to write to us and we will definitely revert back. So thank you so much. And with this, we end the session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you to all. Thank you.
Thank you.